Afternoon, everybody. It's Jane. How's it going? I am laughing. I posted a I don't know what, a question on Facebook, and I said fill in the blank. I have more blank than I could ever use in my lifetime, and I just love the answers. Bread bag twist ties. That is the best. Paint like me. Pencils like me. But Bonnie was like, I could roof a house with the pencils. I just love that. And Judy wrote, just stuff. Judy, I can totally relate. What's really embarrassing, you guys, is last week I posted a picture of these two beautiful yellow chairs. French style chairs that I had in my shop, Chalk Mercantile, and I thought I had sold them. And you know, when you're closing up a shop, and I had a pretty big shop, it was a big space. I remember just, wheeling and dealing and, here, take this. I sold this beautiful Gustavian, a real Gustavian daybed, and just some other stuff that I wish I had kept, right? Well, yesterday, my third son moved out. As I've been telling you, he bought a condo, and he moved out, and we had this one bedroom upstairs in our house that was just full of stuff, right? Well, we were trying to organize, my new sewing room, and we pulled back some stuff, and what did I see but the two those yellow French chairs. So I still have them. So I was like, oh my God, we have to now redo everything in the living room with these two chairs. Hey, Amanda. Hi there. How are you? Thanks for joining me. Hey, Mary Ann. Good to see you. Mary Ann, you guys, has a business called Mary Ann's Makery. And she does a lot of good stuff. So I encourage you to go check her out. Mary Ann's Makery. It's really, really good. So glad you guys are joining me. So what we're going to be doing today is finishing up that little tea towel rack. Before I start that, I just want to let people know, because they've been asking me, I do have the Le Courrier Français stamp. Marianne, I bet your husband, who's French, could say that better than me. So that is in. I got it in. I forgot to order it in the last two orders, but it's in. And the other thing I have in that I'm loving are the envelopes for the IOD stamps. You guys, these are really inexpensive. I just posted them on my website, chalkmercantile.com. They're like $3.97, but I love them. The first two orders that I placed for these, I am actually using them for my stamps. So here, hey, isn't that great, Marianne? But here is like the Lady of Shalott. I don't know how to say that, but that's my stamp in this envelope, because I'm telling you, you guys, these stamps, I keep one of each of them. And I had them all in this pile, and it was just a mess. So these envelopes have been a lifesaver. All right. Now there's some changes that I've made with this little towel rack. Let's see if I could get my computer out of the way here. You know what? I'm not using it. I can unplug it. There we go. So here's my little towel rack, right, that I painted in mud paint in the China white, which I love so much with the white of the molds, that I decided not to decoupage the Liberty of London fabric. I just love this so much. I had it, I put some of my vintage laces. I collect lace, right? And just the different whites looked really beautiful with these two whites. So I'm going to leave it like this. I haven't glued anything down yet. Isn't it pretty, Amanda? See, this is what happens if you leave, or this is what happens to me. But I kind of just will mess around with stuff. And, I might start off with one idea and then go to another. But I really thought this was pretty. And my husband asked me, he says, well, how do you dust that? Hey, Barb, thanks for joining me. Good to see you. I use a little paintbrush. I have a brush that I use for dusting, you know, for stuff like this, and it works really well, right? Thanks, Barb. I'm loving it. So what I'm going to do right now is we're going to glue these down. And, you know, I'm looking at it on camera. Another good tool for you guys to use is your camera, like on your phone. Take a picture of something and look at it that way, because you can check for balance, right? And I was a little worried about the balance, you know, from this side to this side, but it works for me, right? I like how it looks right now. Now this is, I'll tell you what molds I'm using. The new rosettes mold. I only have one rosette, but I love it. It's right there. I'm using, of course, my laurel mold, which I love, and I know it's a mess. I have to wash these. And the frames mold, which I have used over and over and over and over again. And I can see the rosettes mold's gonna be my new fave. So what I'm gonna do, what I was gonna tell you, if you are making a big project like this and you wanna lift everything off, right? And you wanna be able to put it back like it was. So take a picture of it. That's another reason to take a picture so you don't forget your composition. All right, so I'm using Tight Bond, which I love. I also love Aleene's Tacky Glue, but honestly, this spout is just so much easier. Maybe I'll pour my Aleene's Tacky Glue into my Tight Bond bottle. But they're both really, really good. All right, I know I'm gonna use a lot of glue. So I put it on a little cardboard palette. I love this. This keeps it from getting clogged. And I'm using a natural bristle, you know, really stiff brush for gluing. And I'm just gonna start gluing this. Here's the other thing. If I had known I was going to do just the molds and I wasn't gonna decoupage, I would have glued these on wet. So these have been drying, and I did these yesterday morning, and they're still slightly damp, slightly bendable. All right. And if you do need to make molds and let them dry, put them on like a cookie rack where they can get air at the bottom and the top. So otherwise, if you put them down on something that there's no air getting underneath, the top is going to dry first and they start to contract, right? Because they shrink a little bit. So if you don't have anything to dry them on, just keep turning them over. All right, so I'm going to start down the middle. The middle is the easiest place for me to see, and that's where I'm going to begin. And I just take let's see if I can move in a little bit closer. Let's see if this is possible. I don't think I can. Oh, I know how. There we go. Moving closer. And there we go. And then I go back to this. So you could see my mug. All right. So I just take my mold. And if you don't want to see that little shiny bit of the glue popping out, don't go all the way to the edge, because when you press down, it will kind of press to the edge. If you do get a little bit of shiny glue, just get a brush, dip it in some water, and, you know, just brush it away. And that works really well. Okay. I don't want to get glue on my molds. So put this down. And you can see I can see it's kind of coming up just a little bit. That's okay. I don't mind the 3D aspect of it, right? It's coming up. But again, that's because of the way I let it dry. good. And these are pretty forgivable when you first put them down like this. And then the next, again, I'm looking, using the camera, and I kind of just find a little landmark where I could line this up. And I love this mold, this frames mold. I just love it. And I just paint my glue on. And I'm adding a lot of glue because, again, these aren't absolutely flat. When they're wet, they mold right down to the surface you're putting them on. That's why I do that. So since these aren't, I'm really loading them up with glue. So I just kind of hold it over, look for that landmark. And looking up at my camera, looks good, and give it a press. All right, and then I think the next ones are these. This was a really fun project, and if you remember, I paid $3.99 for this little vintage towel rack. It could be antique at this point. An antique, I was told, is anything 100 years old or older. And we're already in, you know, if this was made in the 20s, it's an antique. Oh, Barb is saying she's using the frames mold on a birdhouse project. They're beautiful, right? And you guys, if you're worried about, you know, because they're not inexpensive, and the clay, you want to, you know, you have to buy clay, but there's something that you can use over and over again. Gifts, ornaments, you could bake with them. And like Barb is doing, she's making her birdhouse. Barb, are you in the Painted Cottage Facebook group? If you're, you got to share it because I really want to see what you make. And if you're not in the Painted Cottage Facebook group, you guys should join and show off what you're making. So if I were going to use the molds though, like on furniture, I would definitely put them on wet because you really, really want a good bond. Because furniture gets used, you don't want them getting knocked off or chipped off. You're not in it? Barb, join our Painted Cottage Facebook group. And then I can see your bird. Or if you have a page, let me know when you share it. Because I'd love to see your birdhouse. But we did a whole workshop in there on birdhouses. How do we join? So you guys just go to the Painted Cottage Facebook group and just, you know, just join. Click join. And then you'll be in the group. And it's me, and there's me, Surface Anthology, Tammy of Flippin' Furniture, Joni of Weathered Wings, Kim of For the Nest, and Kata of, I think it's Studio 27. Kata, don't kill me. But Kata's a decoupage expert. Joni uses lots of iron orchid for these really cool projects. Tammy does lots of furniture, and she uses transfers, a lot of beautiful stencils. Kim is an amazing furniture painter who also uses iron orchid and stuff. So we have a couple of workshops in there, Barb, that you'll be able to see and go through. And it's free. Those are free. So just go to the Painted Cottage Facebook group. All right, I just have to run over to the other side here. But there are also people using these molds for sugar work, for baking, cake making. Imagine this as a wedding cake. Oh, that would be amazing. So they're making chocolates, cookies, shortbread, all kinds of cool stuff. And I can definitely see this. What's that stuff they use? Fondant for wedding cakes, right? I think they use that to make a lot of the fanciness on wedding cakes. All right. Did I do this one yet? Nope. And like Barb is doing a birdhouse, you can pick up, you know, those kind of wood blanks, bird houses, bird feeders, wreaths. These would look beautiful on a wreath. And you would use them over and over again, just like the stamps. Okay. And I'm just placing these around, pressing down. And now I'll just move to these. Now this, you get a lot of molds with the frames mold. This is the inside of this one. Oh, also jewelry makers are using these. Okay, same thing. And I love the look of the clay. This white, this is the Iron Orchid air dry clay. So I don't paint it a lot unless it's going to be a color. All right, same thing. I'm gonna look, make that straight. Okay, and I layer them. I'm putting one on top of the other. And some people were using these different color resins where they actually made like the cameos molds look like true cameos. They were really beautiful. All right, and that I'm just laying on top. I, of course, made a lot of Christmas ornaments, that kind of thing. All right, I'm just gonna move out here. Sometimes I get a little obsessed with balance, and I don't know. You know how we all have things that when we look at them, it's like it has to be right? For some people, it's color, it's balance, it's, you know, scale. I think interior designers, it's all of the above. And artists, to create tension, kind of will throw things off a little bit if they want to create a little bit of tension in their artwork and make you a little uncomfortable. All right. And I'll put this one on top. These are so sweet. These are on a cameos mold. And what I might do, because this bow is contracting because of the way I dried it, I might put something on that. I'm not sure. Because it's hard enough that I don't think I'll wreck the design. And after if you do something like this and you say, okay, this is way too much white for me, once these are all down, you can paint them. You don't need to commit to this. Is that crooked? Okay. And I must say, this is very relaxing. Imagine doing a mirror frame like this, just kind of building up all these little shapes around it. All right. And the last big one I'm going to do over here, and then I'm going to glue down all these little, I call them doodads. We'll glue all those down. And if you're somebody who has, you know, I don't know, beads, pearls, buttons would look beautiful, like mother of pearl buttons would look beautiful glued around this. Okay. Now this one I have to put a lot on. This one's really good and dry. So I'm going to really blob on the glue. It's kind of like putting mortar down. There we go. Okay. This is one of the new rosettes. These are absolutely gorgeous. These I would use on furniture in a hot minute. Look at these. Really, really beautiful. You could put these if you're using, you know, like knobs, small crystal knobs on a dresser. You can make this mold, put a hole in it, and put it around the hole where you're going to put the knob. It would be stunning. And you can get a really, really kind of fancy look for not a lot of money. And I gold and silver leaf these molds all the time. So you could totally do that for furniture hardware. And that's it. Oh, I didn't put this is from the little cameo. Hey, Sandy, how are you? Thank you. Thanks for joining us. This is, you know, I was just on a call with some of my other creative, decorative painter, furniture people, and we were talking about not being able to focus, getting overwhelmed. And, you know, there's always a lot of stuff going on in the world, and not all of it good. And sometimes, not only is this an escape, I don't know that we're meant to always be bombarded with information, right? Always information, always, I don't know, you know, different things to think about, your business, you know, this and that. Creating something is like such a nice escape. It's such a great way to focus your brain. Now, Mary Ann is asking me, can you fill the mold with hot glue? Mary Ann, I've seen people do that. I don't know if I've met, Mary Ann is in one of my calls, and she's one of these wonderful, wonderful creatives. Mary Ann, I am so afraid of a hot glue gun because I burnt my fingers so many times. But there are people, and I think they're using the cool glue, but that, and then you'll get a mold that will be flexible all the time. So I think you can, but you know, I would definitely check it out. There's an Iron Orchid group. It's called, I think it's the Iron Orchid Creative Tribe. And you can ask in there and they'll let you know in a heartbeat. All right, and then I just put these little doodads around. And then I'm going to hang this on my wall. And just I have lots of lace. I sew, I quilt, so I have all kinds of that stuff hanging about. And I know I'm looking at this middle frame and it's just begging for something to be in it. So I might have to think about what I want to put in there. All right. And there, that's it. Now, I have seen people doing frames with these molds, and they are exquisite. Look. There. There. It's all done. So that's it, you guys. What I might do, and you'll see me post pictures, I might add something right at these corners because I'm a little unhappy with just them meeting like that. And this I would do with a wet mold. I don't know. You know, I kind of sit and look at these options here, and I also have my Cameos mold. I kind of want something organic and leafy or flowery. So maybe one of these rosettes, but I will, oh, thank you, Sue. Hi there. I love it too. It makes me really happy. I think this in my sewing room with my, you know, vintage lace and, you know, that I like to put out because I don't have rolls and rolls of it. And if I don't have it out, I don't see it and I don't use it. But I could hang that on here, and I think it'll be really pretty. I'm gonna post pictures when I decide what to do on the corners. Like here's a mold that I made that's totally dry. The reason I want it to be wet is so I could kind of push it in more when I make it. But that kind of just finishes off those two intersections. But yeah, white on white, really simple. And if you grow sick of, you know, if you do a white on white like this, you can always paint it, right? And I might put something also into the middle of this mold, and I'll be sure to post pictures of it. But thanks you guys for joining me. Sue, Marianne, Sandy, hi there. Barb, thank you so much for joining me. Amanda. Wow, we have a lot of people today. This was fun. You guys, let me know if there's ever something you'd like to see me make that I haven't done yet with the molds, with anything. Let me know for sure. Any questions, please ask them down in the comments here, and I'll be sure to answer them. And thank you, Mary Ann. Thank you so much. It was a fun project, I have to say. And I'll definitely post a before picture because it doesn't look anything like it did when I started with this. And I'll when I get my sewing room sort of in order, I'll take a picture of it with the lace because the lace is really happy on something like this. It looks really beautiful. To join the Painted Cottage, it's a group on Facebook. Just punch in the Painted Cottage and ask to join. It's a Facebook group, so you know you're not going to get in immediately. We have to let you in. And then we've got 2 workshops that we've already done in there, so it's a lot of fun. Lots of stuff to learn. Guys, thank you so much for joining me. I hope you have a wonderful day today. Happy painting, everyone, and I'll see you next time.